we need to ensure that this situation is maintained and sanity comes back in place. It is very unfortunate that the government has ended up making this situation so crazy. They've been blown out of proportion to magnitudes that are unbelievable. And right now, and it is sad. It is sad, but this is what our leadership will have to bear the responsibility of. We will have to bear the burdens and the sins of the national government, and we will have to figure out a way of putting the name of Mombasa back to its glory, because the people who are causing this, none of them is from here. 4 days ago, we held a meeting with all stakeholders. We held a meeting with all community elders. And when we did that meeting, we talked about what should be done, and some of these issues were raised. As a county and as constituencies, we have been in touch with Haki Africa regarding a dialogue with those who are being perceived as enemies of state for reasons that are known to them. And you asked about dialogue. As a constituency, myself, I hold monthly meetings with every Balozi and every Mzee wa Mitaa in my constituency, monthly, where I brief them on what I do in Parliament. I brief them on what I do out of Parliament on a monthly basis. You're asking about what we have done to engage society and the security forces so that people can work in tandem together and not against each other. I've raised this matter 4 times in the National Assembly, and I'd like you to do your homework and go through the Hansard reports as well. I asked it as a form of a question. And I asked what they have done regarding the Nyumba Kumi initiative, whether these people who are going to be consider that they're working together to bring in some sanity, how they're going to be working and everything. The answer was not forthcoming. I raised this issue in Parliament, that the last time any form of community policing, community involvement in security, and I talked about this in Parliament, that the last time this was done was in the year 2000 and something, and that in itself was sponsored by the European Union. I talked about this when Huduma Center was being opened in front of the President, in front of the whole world, that there is a need for community involvement in these security issues. About 6-7 days ago, no, actually it was I think last Wednesday, I talked about this. This was just before the Sunday when these attacks happened. And I talked about it, that there's a need, and I said this in Parliament. And I said that there's a need. We actually sought for an adjournment, and hear me out. The adjournment that I sought for in Parliament was to do nothing else except talk about the state of insecurity. And one of the things that I recommended was that there's a need for the police to work together with society, not against society. So I think issues as to whether we have done our part or not should be asked to them, that despite whatever we have raised and we have talked about, what have they done about it? But then we ask questions as to these are crime scenes. And I assure you of one thing, mosques never commit crimes, churches never commit crimes, temples never commit crimes. They are people who commit crimes. So if you have an issue with someone, deal with that person as an individual. Do not hold a whole institution accountable. Do not hold a whole religion accountable. Do not punish and put punitive measures on a whole society because of the misdeeds or purported misdeeds of an individual or individuals. Because in the process of doing that, take a cat and push it against the wall, the cat will eventually revolt. Now, human nature is very simple. First comes issues, and you are asking me what happens when dialogue will fail. Because as leaders, as I said this rightfully, that someone like me, my thinking is probably different. And despite the white hair that I probably have on me, but I'm probably the youngest amongst the lot here. And my thinking is different. And my thinking might have been a bit more volatile, that, you know, what's going to happen, I'm going to go there and let it be what may be. Now reason comes in that you will be a cause of the death of so many people. But even if it's not going to be Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir who will have the guts to say that whatever happened will happen, someone will. And that someone is not going to be as reasonable and responsible probably in listening to elders as I am. And what is going to happen is very simple. And it's human nature, it's human psychology. You push someone, they're going to have humility, they're going to start crying, and they're going to feel that people are against them. And when you push them to the limit that they no longer have that humanity in them, they will revolt so violently, it will be unbelievable. And when you make a people feel that they no longer have confidence, or they don't have any form of leaning power to their leadership, to their religious leadership, to their political leadership, and they feel that when push comes to shove, they will have no one else, they will revolt. And I'm giving this as a warning, as someone who is in touch with the grassroots. These people don't care. They don't care about human life. They are out for something that is so magnitude. Because in my mind, why else are they doing all this? Why else are they doing all this? And you ask me, why is this just happening in a place like Mombasa? Look at the places that are under this kind of attacks right now. Lamu. Then they wake up in the morning and say that there was some politics involved. You hold someone for so many days, and then after that what happens? Someone is declared that no, there was no politics that was involved. When Likoni happened, what happened? They came up and they said politics was involved. Have you seen any politician being arrested? And recklessly, verbal diarrhea that comes out of their nasty mouths. The other day, what are they saying? That it's politics that is involved. People are after 2017 elections. Well, we're saying this. Our notion, and the whole of course leadership is that way. Our notion is that they are simply after taking over these cities. So my question is, one, why didn't they just simply arrest those people who broke a law? And I hope you asked this question to Kiture and Marwa. I really hope you asked him, because I want to know the answer to that. 100 and something people were arrested during the Masjid Musa raid. We stood our ground despite everything else, and despite people saying that everyone was guilty, but because we knew how those raids were conducted, what was happening and everything else, they were declared that they were innocent and they were not guilty at all. When we stood our grounds and said that people who have been arrested from their homes recently are innocent and we are pleading for them to be released, they are out unconditionally. And what is their sin? For being profiled as a young person coming from Mombasa. Now ask the right people who is taking this city to the dogs.